I'm Kristal Wick. In my own work, I love to mix different components like metals, crystals, resins, and fibers into densely layered pieces. It's really easy to build your own components out of simple fabric and paint, as well as customized stock components to make custom charms with resin and fabric. With these accessible mixed media jewelry techniques, you'll add depth and layers to your own pieces. And best of all, you'll have fun in the process. So grab a cup of coffee, come on up, sit at my table, and join me. Let's make some jewelry. Okay, now I'm going to show you one of possibly my most favorite technique ever, and it is using resin in bezels. This is so much fun. Again, highly addictive, lots of eye candy here for you. I will show you the technique, but then I also want to show you a tour of my little studio here of all the other types of bezels that I have made with resin using different materials and components. And then you will be able to pick and choose your favorites. So you will use the same process I'm going to show you to make all the other ones. It's just different materials actually in your resin. Let's get going. All right, so business card or any kind of card is really great to use for this because you want to make sure that the resin, if it spills over, it does not spill over in your UV lamp because it will cure and it will be hard and there's a bump. So you will not have a flat surface. Flat surfaces are important in using with resin because if you are letting it lay crooked, it's going to cure that way. So bear that in mind. You always want a flat surface to start with. So I'm going to use this one here. This is fun. There's a design on the back. So if you are making jewelry out of these, it's nice because either way, if it flips over, which many times they do, it's still pretty on the back as well as on the front. That's a good thing to bear in mind. Now I took a piece of the fabric that we had. I'm going to put that inside and stick it down. That's one way of securing your fabric inside the bezel. Now, if you don't have adhesive to use for that purpose, you can use a clear white glue and just put a few dabs down and then make sure you burnish it really well like that so that none of the flaps will curl up. And then you would let that dry. If you don't let that dry, that's when you get in trouble. It becomes a gooey mess, the resin mixes with the glue, and you will get tons of air bubbles. Now, the kind of like, the evil sorcerer of doing resin are the air bubbles. They will come to get you every time, I promise. So you want to take every precaution you can to make sure they're not around, which means making sure that your piece inside is completely dry and flat. All right, so use double-sided adhesive or use glue. Now I'm going to use this UV curing resin. This is one of my favorites. It is non-toxic and it doesn't smell at all, so it's great to use around kids, and it's fast. That is the best part. Now, when we do resin, there are two different ways. We want to do the first layer flat. And then, if you like the doming effect, when it has a dome on top of it, you'll do a second layer on top of that. So, many times people starting out with resin do too much. They put too much resin in there because they think it's going to create a dome, and they end up with this big gooey mess. That is a disaster to clean up. So what you want to do is just go drop by drop. Again, this doesn't take much. And all I do is take a little bit here, a little bit there. Okay, that is not too tough, right? And then you maybe move it around a little bit so that you've got it touching all the edges. And that is important because, again, this resin is clear, so it's kind of tough to see to make sure that you've got it touching all the edges. The other thing, if you want to be sure about this, is it is self-leveling. So you could put this piece off to the side while you're making another one and another one and another one, and it will self-level and be completely level by the time you bring it over to your lamp. All right, so now what we're going to do, I happen to be lucky this time. There are no air bubbles. Yes. But I will show you later on what to do if you have air bubbles. I'm taking this, again, it's on a business card, so that you don't spill the resin as you're walking over to the light. And I'm putting that in the light. I'm going to turn my lamp on.